they drafted Kittle, they developed Kittle.
Right.
Kittle probably feels a little bit indebted to Kyle Shanahan. He probably agrees that he wouldn't be quite the player he is right now without Shanahan. So maybe he will. Maybe he will give him a break. Although the agent's job isn't to do that. The agent's job is to get every penny he's worth.
Right. You know? Bronze, how you feeling, bro? Do you think we work out the contract with Kittle? Or
I think we do, man. Hopefully, 14 is the sweet spot. Hopefully, he'll be willing to do that.
Right.
You know,
because we got to look at it like if you want wide receiver one money. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins got 5 years, 63 guaranteed, 36.5. So if we could give Kittle 5 years, 70 guaranteed, 38, you're making 1.5 million more than a wide receiver one. So you're getting that wide receiver money. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
It just gets tricky because you start looking at the highest paid wide receivers and you go name by name. Like look at Amari Cooper, and you say
20 million.
Who makes a bigger impact, Amari Cooper or George Kittle?
And that's what I think that's the deal that messed us up. Bro.
And that's why. So and just think about it. Think about this. What Mike Silver said on Friday is that the Niners are far apart with Kittle. The two sides talked in February and haven't talked since. That's not good. That is not good because I'm thinking the Niners didn't approach Kittle with an offer that would be a slap in the face. I'm thinking. Right. I don't know. I'm thinking they approached him with a $13 to $14 million offer. And Kittle said, no. And they haven't talked since. So either Kittle's going to change his mind or things are going to get weird because I think the Niners are probably going to stay pretty close to their number.
Right.
And this is the point that I was making. So if it came down to keeping Kittle or re-signing Trent Williams, K'Wan Williams, Juice, who else is coming up? Fred Warner is going to be coming up. DJ Jones,
Kendrick Bourne.
I mean, so if you're looking
at Mosley,
bro, it's like
Kello Witherspoon.
Are you going to
the entire secondary,
or are you going to spread out that money and keep all of these guys? Because
it's the same principle that they just used with DeForest Buckner. It's like, dude, we really like you, but we'd have to lose Armstead, Jimmy Ward, Ronald Blair.
Yeah,
we don't want to. So it's the same principle.
Yeah, and I made a list of all the guys. So we didn't sign Buckner. We traded him, got that first round pick. Out of that, we spread this money out to Tom Compton, Joe Walker, Kerry Hyder, Travis Benjamin, Sean Coleman, Run School, Mosley, Bourne, Garland, Blair, Trent Williams. Because he's on the contract.
Breida for a minute so you could trade him for Colton McKivitz. Yes.
Right. Yep. Jeffrey Wilson Jr., Jimmy Ward, and Roster Welly. And that's not including Salvon Ahmed.
Nick Mullins.
Nick
Mullins. Yeah.
So, literally, that is a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 guys, not including undrafted free agents, and all of the draftees this year.
Yep.
So are you going to take one guy or are you going to take damn near basically 20 players?
Well, look, it's not what I would do. It's what the Niners would do. And I think we know what they would do because they just did it. That's the thing. They just did it. And so if you're Kittle and you're his agent, the Niners don't need to say a word to you. They said, here, we'll offer you maybe $14 million a year. You laughed in their faces, and then there's been no contact. And then what has happened since then? They flirted with Austin Hooper.
Yep.
They traded DeForest Buckner. They've given you their response in so many ways, in so many words. I mean, they're telling you what they're going to do. So now it's on Kittle. Ball's in his court. Do you want to lower your demands or do you want to hold out? Then when you hold out, a lot of Niner fans aren't going to like you anymore. It'll be sort of like the heel turn in professional wrestling. All of a sudden, you won't be the fan favorite. You're the
villain.
You're the villain.
You're the villain. I mean, you want to do that?
It's like when Hulk Hogan went from being a Hulkamania to
the
New World Order.
When The Rock went from being the people's champ to the corporate champ.
Right.
Yep.
Man,
Maybe he'll do it. Maybe he'll do it.
Man.
Maybe there's an evil Kittle that'll be even better.
Man, I don't hope not. So, okay, what would be the scenario if Kittle goes? What would be the scenario? I mean, we got Charlie Warner. I mean, we'll probably get like a super high draft pick for him.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going anywhere this year. I mean, they got him.
Right.
He's under contract. If he wants to hold out for a year, be our guest. Next year, they'd probably trade him for a couple of firsts.
And
but again, I just don't have a feeling. I have a feeling it's not going to come down to that.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
You know, although again, let me just try to put the pieces together. So the Niners haven't really responded to Kittle, and they're sending cryptic messages. Kittle just responded to the Niners 2 days ago when his agent spoke to Mike Silver. That's Kittle's response. Because remember, John Lynch came out a week ago and said they're going to work it out. We're working for that sweet spot, but we want him here. And Kittle and his agent are like, "Oh, word? It's going to be all good." Well, let me tell Mike Silver to tell everyone that we're not even close. That's how that works. So that's now the ball's in the Niners' court.
Man,
right? I mean, that's what just happened. That's why. I mean, Silver even said it. He's like, "I've been talking a lot to Kittle's agent, and this is what he says." Yeah, like they're not actually in contact with each other. They're doing it through other people, which is not a good sign.
Yeah, that's definitely not a good sign, bro.
Not a good sign.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, to me, the Niners should feel privileged to have a player like George Kittle.
Most
you
definitely.
want to have that. I mean, but you also want to have a guy like DeForest Buckner. They're not only great players, but they're the pillars of your organization, right? They're your leaders. Yes. Like they're your Joe Staleys, and you need players like that,
right?
Because as good as Eric Armstead, as well as he played last year, he hasn't shown that he's one of those guys yet, like Buckner was. He needs to show some more consistency, and Kittle's shown it. I mean, he's played hurt. He's been a stud for a few years. You don't just it's hard to replace guys like that. And I understand you want to keep multiple guys, but at the same time, I think you want to keep your franchise cornerstones as well.
Wow.
And he's one of them. Yeah, definitely.
He is.
Yeah. I hope he can go.
I'll be thinking now.
Hey, there may not even be a season, man. So, I mean, I guess the Niners have time to figure it out.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And then another thing that, Kittle has to realize, bro, with there possibly being no fans in the stands, the salary cap is going to take a dive. So, like, it's not going to be what they expected it to be. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know, man. Come on, Kittle, bro. Like, don't do that to us, man. Like, I understand, but, like, is
the Niners going to get hurt if we do agree to, like, a $16 million? Is that too much?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's tough when you're paying Jimmy Garoppolo $27. If the quarterback were like Nick Mullins making $3, like, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. Gardner Minshew, no problem. Yeah. But when you pay your quarterback $27, those are the kind of questions you have to ask. Can you afford a $20 million 3-tech? Can you afford a $17 million tight end? Maybe not. It's tough. So, I mean, in that case, who do you want to keep? Jimmy or George? I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I talk a lot about Jimmy, about how he's overrated and how he's like, basically Kirk Cousins, but he only wins somehow. So, I mean, do you really want to get rid of Jimmy? Are you sure? Because you did a lot of losing without him. So it's a tough one.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think that Dwelly could step in for Kittle and be serviceable?
Yeah, absolutely. I love Dwelly. No one's.
Oh
Kittle.
I forgot. That's your guy, bro.
I love Dwelly. I mean,
Dwelly
no
too.
one is Kittle because Kittle's everything. He's a great route runner. He's great after the catch, and he's a great blocker. Like he's the whole.
Exactly.
Dwelly he's everything. Dwelly's is he's not fast, and he's not going to run away from people after the catch. But for a guy who runs like a 4.9, he's really hard to cover. Like I seen him in training camp on those one-on-one drills, like Tart couldn't cover him. So he's got this little shaky finesse to his game, and his hands are fantastic. Like he's extremely short-handed. He made that diving catch in Washington in the rain.
Yeah, then we seen him make that one where he got his foot blew off and he still hold on to the ball.
If you look at his background, he caught a ton of passes in college. He was like the number one target in his offense for years. Unlike Kittle, who was like underused. So he has experience. He has great hands. He gets open. He's a good player. He reminds me of Cameron Brate. I don't know how much you know Cameron Brate down in Tampa, but that's a solid tight end. Right. That's what I see.
Dwelly.
And the reason he didn't get drafted, he's like 6'5", 235, like borderline wide receiver. And they're like, well, he's never going to be able to block. You saw him last year. Like he actually improved. He gives a great effort. He's not who you want as your starting wide tight end, but that's why they drafted Charlie Werner, who's that type of blocking guy. And I think what Shanahan would say is if you give me a platoon of Werner and Dwelly, plus all the wide receivers he's collected, plus Jerick McKinnon, if he ever plays, those are a lot of receivers that could, that's a lot of wide receivers. Maybe they could use as a committee a replacement for Kittle.
Right. Charlie Warner, what do you think about him? Do you think he might be, I don't want to say the next Kittle, but, just looking in through some articles, his high school coach told him, hey, it was a grain of salt, but he could be a Gronk.
Then why didn't you use him like Gronk? Why are you throwing the ball?
Hey,
This high school.
High school.
Coach,
Okay.
Yeah. In high school, he played running back, fullback, linebacker, free safety, and wide receiver.
Wow.
And,
so that's interesting.
And he holds records in track and field.
Yeah.
So
he still holds it.
He could also replace Kyle Juszczyk in a year if they don't keep Juszczyk.
Yeah.
Because he's another free agent, so maybe he could do that. But it seems he's not going to be George Kittle. You don't just make another.
Nah, you don't make another one of those.
And if you go back and look at Kittle, like he was a supreme athlete. It wasn't like Shanahan just created him. I mean, he gets him open, but he's a great athlete.
Right.
I think just the idea with Warner is, I mean, he went to Georgia, which was like the best running offense. Yeah, it's like the best running offense in college football every year, and he was their Kittle in terms of a tight end blocker.